Shalom, shalom, Shabbat, shalom, shalom, mashpaka, shalom, shalom, and joyful prep yom as we enter, as we are in the yom portion, the bakar, the rising portion of the of this prep yom. And I just want to say, did you feel it? Did you feel what just happened right now? It is. I want everybody to check the time. I think it's like 8:30 or something. 8:37, 8:30 something, 37. It's 8:37 right here. And I'm doing laundry, but I had to get on right away because I felt this shock wave go through the ruach, like this earthquake, like this firmament, this firmament, not a firmament of Yahuwah, but the firmament, like this shield, this force field, this level of wave of oppression that the enemy had on the world just like popped off, and it brought everybody to the next level. And I felt like we all felt it, so I'm calling it out because I'm doing it by Amunah. You know, it's like a child, like I'm not a child, and we were all in it. I'm not trying to say I'm better than anybody because y'all felt it. That's why I'm getting on here, because I'm trying to show that we're all connected, we're all one, and they're trying to keep us separated, but we're all connected on different subconscious levels. It's sort of like we're all at a meeting, right? We're all sitting at a meeting. Some people are really focused, you know, what the person is saying, and they're like hanging on every letter, every word, and every thought. Like it's like they're one mind with that person that's giving the meeting or the word, or Yahuwah, like what's going on in the Ruach. They can even pick up like what he's saying. They can pick up, read between the lines. Like imagine like even all the intricate little expounded things that go in between that, like how you can break that down in a few different things. You know, they say one thing, but you can go here or there with it as they're going. They're connected. You got people that just they get what they're saying, and they can intellectualize maybe one of those things, you know, start breaking down different levels, but they understand it almost just surface value. They can go a little bit deep. Then you got people that are just surface level. They're just hearing it and they understand it from what it's worth, from what you're saying. Like I get what you're saying, 2 plus 2 plus 4. They're not going deep. They just okay, but they're not processing. It's not going. It's not hitting. It's not going deep. You know. And then you got people that are halfway listening. They're listening. They get the general idea, but I get it. I don't have to pay too close attention, but they're still kind of caught up, like thinking about like, oh shoot, I got to do this, I got to do that. I was gonna hang out with my homeboy, my homegirl. I was gonna do this. I was gonna party. We're gonna do, you know, because there's still the world. They're still 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And then you got people that are there. They're not paying attention at all, but they can subconsciously feel what's happening, you know. And they're just maybe texting the friends, the homies. They're really into the world, and they're in a meeting. They're not even at all listening, but they can feel it in the air still at a subconscious level of what's going on, what's being talked. They can feel at least the energy. But things have to distract them out of their own distractions of the world and get their focus. Hey man, do you feel it? Like, are you picking up what we're putting out? Are you feeling what the Ruach's putting out? And then you get them to think about it. It's all there for everybody. It's just having some people got a clutter of stuff in their garage. I'm in a garage. Some people they're cleaning out. They're constantly maintaining. So you're there, but you just have to weed through. You put too many curtains up, too many. You're like, hey, you gotta go and weed all that out. Hold on, let me get my dryer going. And so, let's see how much time? Like an hour. Medium. No? Yeah. So yeah, some people are there with it, you know, and check out that shower. And it goes got all these knobs, got all these things like just damn, it's huge. Anyways, sorry, I can't keep doing that, but that's what we're doing. You know, we're feeling the Ruach's putting out, but then it's like, ooh, look at that, look at that. Like it's a great example of how we do that. You know, I'm just kind of like from my own giving you an example of what we do. We gotta stay locked in and focused because it's like it's connecting. Like they're like when they're tracing the call, and like you think you got the general idea, general area, and it's still trying to pinpoint it. But then it's like, ooh, and it's like signal lost. But you kind of know, I kind of get it. But now you're supposed to go right there and boom, and then it opens up, and then you know that meditation goes deep. Nonetheless, that was powerful. It was like it was about 8:35 probably when it happened. Pacific time. I don't know who felt it, but y'all let me know if y'all felt it because it felt like a powerful. I can feel everybody feeling it, like all the Kodashim at least for sure that are locked in, that are meditating on the word of Yah, like on his Ruach, and being mindful, having the meditation sweet, and just really focusing. I felt that we all felt each other like whoa, like it felt like we all zapped up into the clouds and that we can all see each other above the clouds, but on Earth, and we're like whoa, and it really made us understand and feel how small the world is, how simple all this stuff really is in one sense, but how great of a job the enemy has done to bring confusion and separation and delusion, and just our minds are just ready to go into anything. So the enemy will give us bloop, and then we're like, oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? So we gotta like, no, we gotta stay the word, and we all. And so from the messages Yahuwah has been giving me the past few days, it's been loosening a lot. Like at the subconscious level, if you've been watching them, it's been coding in you the ruach. You've been kind of meditate, seeing things the way Yahuwah wants us to see things in one dynamic. But it's a big part of how we should see things. It's part of how one of his Kodashim see things, how one of his servants see things. This is how we see things. I was talking about the milk, fruit, the tree, the bush, come from an altered universe reality. Reality around you is an expression of poetic projection and reflection of yourself. Trying to speak to you to kind of help you see what you got to prune, what you got to work on. Not necessarily about the game of life itself. That's just sort of that's secondary actually. Those things help and test you on the primary game of Chai is like, how do you treat your coworkers if you're doing the funds grind, you're in a financial institution and whatnot. You know, do you put that before other people? Are you capitalist system all about me? Capitalist system all about greed? I don't got no food for you to eat because I bought this gold chain. I bought this new chain. It didn't cost 5 G's. Stepping on heads are the steps to succeed. Capitalist system all about me. Capitalist system all about greed. I don't got no food for you to eat. I done bought this new chain. It didn't cost 5 G's. I didn't like my body, so I got a booty. I didn't like my body, so I got boobies. Capitalist system all about me. Capitalist, you meditate on those thoughts and like, man, and then like help. It's about helping each other, like not about me, not about, if you got that subconscious, the enemy don't like that. Yep, I already knew the enemy don't like that. Felt that charge, that bang, and then the enemy was like trying to disrupt the video right now. It blacked out for a second there. Reconnecting. But yeah, if you have that subconscious thought, that's that hidden reservation that's always on, something like a goal you want to get that's superficial, like, oh yeah, I'm saving up to get these kicks, I'm saving up to get this car, I'm saving up, and it's like the motive is purely superficial to shine, to steam yourself. All that is a path, and it's got all the vanities tied to it, all the death, it's all a meaningless purpose. It's a meaningless high. It's a part of you, so the entire thing's in a sense meaningless. That part will get burned off. It will gonna try and detach those motives and trying to give you something purposeful. He'll try to take those things and put a purpose in it. Or maybe you need a car because you can help people get around. Instead of maybe looking at a two-door sports car, because ever since I was little, and this is the ruach, this is like I always thought people thought this way. It's kind of like Evan from Legoland. Remember when like the only idea he ever had, and it was kind of like the only original idea I ever had, like things I would think about. He thought about the double decker couch, like bunk beds, but couches so that everybody can sit real close to each other. Because it's like a couches stacked on top of each other, but then you got the legs dangling with you. But it's like, but then we can all be together and be friends. And now I didn't never necessarily have that idea, but I have thought like, when I was a kid, and I remember seeing sports cars, like two-door cars and stuff, and I remember thinking like, but where are your friends supposed to sit? Because when I was little, I grew up in a neighborhood with a bunch of friends, and I remember like, that's like the enemy, or Yahuwah is a part of this testing too. Like he wants to see what we're made of. So Yahuwah is allowing the enemy to test us, or Yahuwah is putting different things in us just to see what we choose. It's sort of like what they do with those little kids. Like I don't know if you've seen those videos where they're like, show us the kind kid, the tu kid, and they'll have like white and black kid, and then they always choose that the white kid is the tu kid, the kind kid, and like, show me the bad boy, the bad kid, and it's always like the melanated one, the darker one, and it's like a psychological thing because the way the paradigm is constructed. In one way, I can go deep in different ways, but I'm trying to focus on which one I want to choose. But really, it's just like the world construct of Satan and Babylon. He did kind of choose, and I say the tribe of Yehuda. Originally, they're the tribe of Yehuda, but because they're given wisdom on how to govern people, because Judah, the tribe of Judah, he says, the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor lawgiver from between his feet. Scepter, this is Genesis 49, by the way. Scepter symbolizes strong government. Lawgiver is legislation. And to him, the nations gather. So, and to him is the obedience of the people, or he has influence over the people, in other words. And so they have a wittiness to him. You remember, like Malk Shalama, like King Solomon was the wisest man in the world. He had a lot of wisdom, a lot of understanding on things. Well, that's a part of the tribe of Judah too. And so America has all those things. They strong government, legislation, the gathering of the people. They have influence on the people, and they're very smart, and they have understanding on things scientifically, methods and whatnot. And they use that. Then this is where the enemy tries to come in and bring in his pawns, his secret agents. But what the enemy tries to do is we talked about the other day. We're like X-Men Apocalypse, right? Where he'll take the X-Men's powers, this demon entity, and he'll like strengthen their power, but use it for his, like, low key, use it for his gain in the background, like for evil. And so that's what Satan does with tribe of Judah. He uses their government, their gift of governing, their gift of right ruling and legislation and order, but he's twisting to make laws that are wicked, like LGBT and all this kind of thing, and writing wrong kind of laws. Like, that's the enemy trying to infiltrate the tribe of Judah and get in their head and get them divided. So there's this war we can't see, and we're wondering. So that's why we see Christians, believers, and non-believers, but it's really tribe of Judah. They're operating their tribe of Yahuda, gifts, or if they're choosing, everybody's got a Jacob and Esau worn inside. That's what that parable about when um, Rebecca, Rabka, Isaac's wife, Yitzchak's wife, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Isaac, well, he took a wife named Rabka, and she had twins in her womb. And a malak of Yahuwah said to her, there's two nations in you, and one shall serve the other. There'll never be an agreement. When one will slip, the other one rises, and but the older one shall serve the younger in the end. All right, yeah. And so, but the striving of the nations is talking about, one is born of the flesh and one is born of the ruach. So we're like Rabka, where we have, you know, two nations warring within us, two ideologies, two cultures, two spiritual frame minds, right? The frame of mind, ruach frame of mind. Like, you got the word of Yahuwah. We want to believe, we want to trust, we want to go that way. That's what we want to do. But then the flesh is pulling on us and almost making us, or giving us, like, just naturally kind of want, like, following that way. But then it's like, but we know we should do that. We know it's right, but knowing what's right doesn't make it right. It's actually doing it and circumcising the flesh, making those hard cuts that hurt. Nonetheless, we got Jacob and Esau warring within us. We got to choose Jacob. Jacob, his name, that's Yaqub. His name was changed to Israel. That's where we get the nation of Israel. Yasharal is Jacob. Esau's Edom, bloodshed, nation of bloodshed, war, like how Cain killed Abel, how the nations plot and scheme and try to bully all the other nations and make them serve them, but then doing it in a way that seems like they're being nice and they're doing it out of order. And for the most part, they kind of are, because then like Yahuwah used the best of the lesser of the evils, because the scriptures say that Yahuwah raises up a nation and brings down another one. So he chooses who will do his desire, the lesser of the evils and whatnot. But it's like him and Satan always playing chess too, because it gotta be a fair game. So you give Satan a shot to make a move on what he's doing, but Yahuwah's just, they're playing a fair game, and he was like, I'm gonna choose this nation, or maybe they both agreed on that, like, because America, the tribe of Yehuda's witty, and so they're like, and he was like, I'm gonna influence them to do this, and so he's like, I'm gonna twist that to do that, and see what they choose. He was like, well, I'm gonna give them the idea that this would be better, more honoring in that, and see what they do. And it seems like, well, this would give them more control and be on top, and let's see if they go for that. So they're kind of always tweaking those moves, playing chess against each other on humanity, and we're just the ones having to make the choice, you know. And so America's tribe of Yehuda, they got the influence. So then that's who Satan uses, you know, because of the stronger of the tribes, to influence the people, to govern, because that's just part of the Ruach gifts that they were given. So the enemy's trying to do like apocalypse, like X-Men apocalypse, and twist their gifts, empower them even, you know, give them like extra insight, their demonic insight to the tribe of Yehuda, and like kind of confuse them and dilute them, and you know, make them see things their way and rationalize why it's better, and then the theories of evolution and this and that, and you know, abortion, like being like anti, like pro life, or what's the other one, or into abortion, and rationalizing in their heads why it's okay to kill the child at the embryo. And do you know that that's in the scriptures? I believe it's in the book of Jasher, Yashatu, or Enoch, Hanuk. It talks about how the fallen taught the women how to smite the embryo in the womb, so to not have babies, and that was an abomination. So nothing new under the sun. They were doing the same thing. And I think it was like a drink back then. It was like they taught them how to mix drinks and roots, like mix potions, like roots and leaves and whatnot. And that when they drink it, it would smite the embryo in the womb. And then that it would also another drink to cause the women to be barren, so that they didn't have to be pregnant. So that was like the ancient form of birth control back then. It said that it would smite the embryo in the womb, and that it would also render them barren, so that they didn't have to conceive children anymore, so that they can have sex without, and all that, without having to worry about like getting pregnant, because that's evil, because Yahuwah says bear fruit and multiply. And according to the dynamic we spoke on yesterday, or the day before, about family, the family dynamic, about how we see a woman, you're interested, talk to her, she's not married, see if y'all can be best friends, and see if y'all do well together, when y'all with each other's bad side, and y'all still care and love each other and y'all best friends. And then you can start thinking about, I want to have a family and raise a child with this woman. Right now, I would definitely not recommend it though, because I know we are in the last days, so now's not the time necessarily to be trying to find the love of your life, you know. And that might be an idol we got to deal with too, because there's a lot of people out there that come to religion, come this, but then they got this hidden reservation that they're only doing it because they're like, yeah, give me a strong man, a financially stable man, you know, that can take care of me. Because yeah, true, and it's right, you know, that, well, you know, women should be provided for and taken care of by a man, but the system right now and all the demonic stuff and the things the way they are is not really polished up to be in favor for men right now. Satan is trying to do everything to thwart, to destroy, you know, the strength of men and their influence, and especially if they're in the word. You know, you don't like that. Like if you're trying to be a man of Yah, he don't want you shining up and moving up in the workplace, and being that great example to the world like once upon a time. So now, like, you know, if you're standing up for the word, like little by little, if you find a compromise in you, and it's not hard to do, then he'll get you tripped up and keep you down and put you here, and then like move up the what I call the brutes. You know, the brutes are those that, you know, they're kind of well rounded too. You know, they're not so that they have a balance. You know, balancing the sin and what's right. But you know, with this world, they call sin right and right wrong. You know, so it's all about that balance. That it's all okay. We're not hurting nobody, and they're just like, you know, hey, we're gonna go to the bar. We're all gonna drink. Part we're gonna hit the club, and then they might do this, they might do that, they might smoke a little weed, they might hit a little line, they might, but then they're cool. They're not getting in trouble, and so it kind of projects that image to their employees and the coworkers, and to the that, hey, this is okay. You can, there's a way you can actually live this way and it be balanced. And they listen to some worldly music. They talk about politics. They into religion, little this they believe, but they don't really follow. They don't really understand it, but they just do it from their own. But then people want to hear what their itching ears want to hear. So from that paradigm, they roll with it, and so they're all one. And so that's how Satan is building his image, the empire, his kingdom on earth. So nonetheless, you know, we don't want that. We want to be aware of that. So it's subconscious that we understand the battle, and that Satan is doing things to bring us down. So I had somebody this, and this is why we're not prospering. But if you're prospering, and it could be from you who will maybe put some of those to actually prosper, maybe to help out the rest. Like maybe we're not a general, like in the general sense, not all just like middle class and doing well, like middle and a little higher to like prospering, like in a general sense where it's a lot like most of us, but maybe because like the world image has all that. But we to the balance, right? Like let's say they're 70% prosperous, maybe we're 30% prosperous. We have 30% of our people that are in those positions of wealth and all that. Those are maybe the ones who was allowing and kind of covered them and kept them unstained from the world, and maybe they're not compromised and they're getting this truth. We're all a caught in this. Maybe those are the ones that he's raising up to put in positions to like the ones you see that are buying land, buying farms, and and doing the homestead thing to unite the tribes. They're like, hey, if you're a believer and you want to get out of the system and live off the land and farm and all that, and we just grow our own food, I'll just pay the taxes. I got us. I met at least almost 10 people like that in the past 10 years. I mean, like we always see someone like that once a year, someone new pop up and they're talking about it and they're trying to get people together, but yeah, I'm never in the position to go. Like it's just not my time. But I know, and sometimes they just disappear because I feel like they all unplug. Like they'll unplug from all this, and I feel like now's not the time to unplug. There's still work to do. So I think there's a balance to that too. Like yeah, you can unite the people, and maybe we'll all find them later on. Who knows? Maybe, but it's cool to unite the people. But I don't think you want to completely unplug because we still got to send workers out. So we're still working. To we're doing overtime right now. Like, it's like, hey, whoever wants to stay late, we're staying late. You know what I mean? Like, we trying to get the overtime. We want to stay more high. We're trying. We don't. We're not here to just to get a paycheck in the ruach. We actually care about the product. We care. We want to pump out more product. We actually care about the mission. We love our product, and that's bringing eternal high to people in whatever way that shape or form that happens. So we're trying to produce more of that product. So we're staying overtime because we care about our company. We care about Yahuwah. We care about Shamayim. We care about eternity. We care about the reign of Shamayim on earth and Yahusha Mashiach. So we care about the Shamayim reign, the reign of Yahuwah, Yahusha, Alahim, and the Ruach HaKodesh. Aman, Aman, Hallelujah. And so just listen, just take it in, just chill with it. It'll subconsciously code. It's just like what we do when we watch TV and movies. Is what he was trying to show me. Like, he would always tell me back in the day, just get on. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm talking about anything like, right. Like, I don't bring up scripture all the time. And I feel like I'm just talking about me. And I was back then. But now he finally got me at that balance where he makes sure like I'm generalizing things for everybody. And if I can do that all the entire time, that's great because it's like I'm that counter version of the world where everywhere you go, you're hearing the radio, you're hearing the narrative, the news on TV, you're hearing people talking about politics or the worldly things are speaking from it to that filter. After a while, you don't even have to have the radio on no more. You don't even have to have the TV on. People are just they go out and they're talking and they're an extension, a counterpart of it. So it's like okay, we got to be the counterpart, the extension of the word of Yahuwah, the Shamayim on earth. So we start to talk it, loosen it, and it doesn't mean everybody else has to, but for the most part, just like in the world, you don't hear everybody always talking about it, but it's what's in everybody's mind in a sense, like in a general sense, like most people tend to have the same mind, same ideals, similar ideals, because we can only think about what we've been given to think about. We can only work with what we got, with what they've given us, to work with. So we're not thinking about certain things. We're not thinking about because there's nothing that was given to us to think about it. You know what I'm saying? So, for example, I had an idea about like, making socks out of like some thin, um, like some really thin, clear, transparent, like what is the word? Like tissue or like like membrane, like cell membrane material, from plants or something. And there's layers to it. Like you got the first layers like to the ankles or like to the heel, and then the ankle, then and you roll. They just put it on this one thing and it rolls up, but they're layered out, so it's like you can walk outside. It kind of sounds like Sunny with a Chance of Meatballs when I think about it, but that was never the motivation. Just clicked now, but you can walk in like sandals, and then it's like if your feet are getting dirty or whatever, you just pull that top layer membrane off, and it's biodegradable. It's made out of like uh, plant membrane. You just throw it in the dirt, and it just kind of like dissolves into the dirt. Like it's fine. Like the sun will break it down, right? Like cotton candy, just dissolve. And then like now you got like a new pair of clean feet. You didn't have to wash your feet, and they didn't get dirty. And then when that starts to get all dirty and walking around with your sandals, you take off that next layer of membrane, and then you got another pair of shiny, clean, protected membrane feet. Anyways, it's like, what made you think of that? Like, it's so weird. Like, that's just when your mind is freed up enough to think about different things that people don't usually think about. You think about it because you don't have all the imposed stuff coming from the world. It's like our mind is can only take so much. It's like a phone data storage. And sometimes, like, in order to make room to get a new understanding and insight and understand things, you got to delete some of those old apps. You got to delete the TikTok and this and that from your mind, like from your cloud. Like, it's a projection, right? I would say everything's a projection of ourselves, even the phone. you know and so, nonetheless, all that to say that felt the shockwave of the ruach, and I'm trying to be a counterpart for Yahuwah, an extension, so that there's always something that's related to the word. This is like the narratives, the news, the politics, the sports updates, the media, the music, the celebrities, the entertainment, the politics. This is all of that, you know, in the form of the word. Like, just keeping your mind on the things of the word and just knowing what that is and what it shouldn't be. And so I felt this charge, bro. Like, I was meditating on yesterday's videos on some of the things I had said the past few days. And then, I have a lot of people sending me messages, and I had someone send me a message that was a little bit negative, and and I thought about that. But they also, I don't know. I couldn't find them. I don't know. And so, I felt like well, the main point is when I was meditating on all that, I wanted to tell the person, I started understanding how the enemy has a lot of control on a lot of us, how, he gives us different vices that, really we're that free and achad in one. We're all united, and Yahusha originates the original frame of mind that we're supposed to be in. But the enemy, all he has to do is little things like, even from the paradigm of the vices, like, oh, we'll put out drinking, like it doesn't really mess you up so bad. You get a little tipsy, and you might become a joyful drunk or a confident drunk, and everything's cool, and you party and enjoy and loosen up. So they allow everybody to feel that, but then they grab those one or two, three that they really just want to mess up, that maybe are generally well rounded in some sense, and they want to. That's the moment that they like to attack those. But those will never say that, how bad it's messing them up. Like, maybe it's making them paranoid. They're hearing voices, because some people get all crazy like they're on meth from drinking. I've ran into that. It's a thing too. But they don't want to say nothing because they feel like there's something wrong with them, and they don't want to feel like there's something wrong with them. So they try to mask it or hide it. They try to act like they're normal, like they're fine when they drink, when they get like kind of drunk, and they're because they want to be a part of that culture, but they're messing themselves up. But then they would do the same thing with some like weed or other vices, and everybody for the most part gets a nice, cool high. But then you got those few that the enemy wants to make all paranoid. But then, so he's creating all this confusion and chaos, because then we're all the insecurities building and all this stuff, and really it's like understanding that we're all united, and the enemy's just trying to outsmart us. Like, at this point, we're trying to get to the point where we understand we're fighting a spiritual adversary, that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but principalities, powers, and rulers in the cosmic realm, in the spiritual realm, in the unseen, that are guiding and maneuvering and controlling the scene, the elite, and people in high places and positions of authority and whatnot. That's the battle. So, like, the ones that the demons can influence more and they'll do their bidding. They'll put them in higher positions of authority because they'll write the law of the land and be a projection of what the culture should look like on to the masses. Managers and stuff, leads in the workplace and all that. Those are your modern day preachers of the world. You know what I'm saying? Those are preachers. And so they'll talk about preachers. Those are the types that, well, and it's cool. They're kind of right. So it's kind of double edged sword because they're kind of like give you something that like the enemy was saying something that's kind of true, but then to twist the lie, he told Adam and Eve like, you know, oh, you won't die if you eat of the tree of knowledge of right and wrong, of good and evil. You won't die. That's the lie. But he said, your eyes will be like Elohim, and you shall know all things like right and wrong. You shall see clearly. That was true. And they're like, oh yeah, that's what he told us. But then the counter was where he tried to say Yah was lying. He's like, but you're not gonna die because Yah said you'll die. And he's like, but you won't die. You're gonna be like him. He just don't want you to be like him. So now it's like choose what you're gonna believe. So that's where the chess game started. And they chose to believe Satan that, oh well, maybe we won't die. Maybe we'll just see everything and be like him. Screw it. Let's try it. They trusted the enemy. They wanted that power. They wanted to experience something more out of against his word, though. So they did it. And Yahuwah in his compassion spared them. Well, he created a dynamic where in that day they did die, because a day to Yahuwah to eternity, and eternity is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as a day. So in the book of Jubilees, it says that Adam died at 930 years, I believe. He was just 70 years short from 1,000 years. And therefore, to fulfill what was written, what was said by the word of Yahuwah, that he shall surely die this day. And therefore, he did die that day, for he did not complete the 1,000 year day of eternity, for days as 1,000 years, or 1,000 years is as a day to Yahuwah. So even dying at 930 years old, that's dying in that same day, because 1,000 years would have completed the day, in eternity. And so, and that's it. But that's compassion. He gave him as much time as he could, but then put the parable 70, 30 and 90, 30 and 70. So 3 and 7 make 10. Completion, that there's a completion to come. 70 cyclical. This shall continue to repeat until the end. And anyways, that's where the other things play in. Reality's math. Um, Nonetheless, again, around 8:30 or something, I had to stop about about how we're all in this together. The world says that they're all in this together against us, but we're all in this together against the enemy, against all the demonic forces. And once I had that thought, I felt like I tapped into a realm where maybe all the other Kurashim were probably what I was feeling, or the Malakim, the Shamaim, Yahuwah, Yahusha. It brought me into the innermost secret place, the Kodashah, Kodashah, and I felt the Ruach. I felt that, like, what I haven't felt since I was born again. You feel like the Ruach just wraps you like euphoric, like goosebumps, like you get the goosebumps, like you feel that emotional thing out of nowhere just from like meditating on the word, like just from that thought that we're all in this together. We're all in this together, and it's time for us to like fight back and be smart. All we gotta do, like the enemy's not smarter than us. We have the same potential. We just have to be more intentional and have the intent to be aware constantly and observe and stop letting the enemies keep tricking us into sin or into into vanities and imaginations. That's really all it is. Like, even if you get into your vanities and fantasies and imaginations, you're already taken, you're already captured in that moment. You're being sucked in, like, like Ice Age. Ice Age, what one was it? The one where the sirens were projecting all their you know desires, and their most intimate secret desires. And it was just a projection, like a hologram, like a mirage, and it was sucking them in. They're all getting hypnotized. But little do they know, is these demons, these little ocean creatures that look like demons, that was sucking them in to run into an iceberg, in the fog, so that they can crash it and then sink their ship and eat them. And they caught on, like, one of them, I think it was the mammoth. He was one of them, just like snapped out of it. The having just that little mindfulness, like to observe, like what's going on. Like, yeah, this is great, I'm enjoying it, but why? Why all of a sudden, like, nah, this is too dope to be true. Sums up. Let me stop before I take a bite and really see what's going on. Like, you always want to observe, like, what's happening right now. Because nothing should just come freely, easy, catered. So without there being something that's trying to like pull you in one turn of the knob at a time, like one turn of this, one turn of that, trying to lock you in, slowly tighten you, put the chains on you slowly. So by the time you look, it's like a snake wrapping you, and it feels so nice and soft and comfortable, slithering across your chest and your arms, and your hair stands up. You get the goosebumps. It feels all nice, and it just keeps trapping you here, trapping you there. Before you know it, you look, you're tied up. You're already wound up by the snake, and then boom, it just starts to tighten up. You're like, and it's just like, and you can't break free anymore. That's basically what vanities and fantasies and imaginations do. Those inclinations, So the minute you have them, the second you have them, the split second, nope. Like as if what you say, do, and think it's not the word of Yah. It's fleshly desired, and it's in agreement by the demonically inspired. And I say in agreement because when you dwell on it, it's because you came into agreement. You're like, yeah, I like that thought. Like you're agreeing with the enemy's like, yeah, no, I thought you did. I thought you would like that thought. And you're being wound up. It just takes your soul, starts stealing your energy. You know, and you don't want that. So. It's like the lasso of truth from Wonder Woman. She puts the lasso and you gotta speak the truth, but only it's the lasso of you. It just starts to suck you out. All your energy, and so you're drained, and then but then it made you feel, you know, kind of like when a mosquito bites you, they numb you, but then you don't feel the pain till after they already left, and the pain starts to come in, and you're like, oh shoot, what the heck? I bit by a mosquito. Only imagine if that mosquito bite pain actually had a little bit of a pleasure feeling to it. So these demons will bite you and take your energy, take your blood, and then instead of feeling the pain, you might feel a little pain, but you feel a little pleasure. But then we think that, that's what we want. So we associate whatever shenanigans we gave into that got us bit, that made us feel pleasure, that's a right thing, that's due. But we already had a notion of that in eternity, that in ourselves from Yahuwah Yahusha. It just takes a little bit of time to get it back. Like when you meditate on Yah, and you're asking, demanding, get my peace, love, and joy back, and the ruach from Yah. Like I'm being still, and I want that substance back, that pure substance. You're gonna feel a little discomfort because what you're doing is you're telling the snake to get off. You're being aware that the snake is wound you up tight, and so you're gonna feel a little anxiety. Because so you're gonna feel that when you're trying to get back in the word, because the enemy's trying to make you feel discomfort. You don't want to give. He's like, no, you're mine, this and that. So you're getting agitated, and he's even putting a little charge on you of anxiety and stress and discomfort and irritability and whatnot. But it's only for a moment. Like just let it burn out. Like just stay as you are. Be still, know He is Yah. Like Yahusha. When he was put to death, that entire day it was agony. That's like what it is. But then 3 days later, he rose again. Praise Yah. We don't have to wait 3 days later. It's like 3 minutes later. You might feel that agony for 3 minutes. Just a while, and then just wait and suffer through it, circumcise, and wait for Yahuwah's peace, love, and joy, and don't let the don't just keep seeking the world, the vanities, fantasies, imaginations of the world to give you that pleasure at the end. We talked about it before, even the other day, where it's like, they're they're giving you, they're feeding your flesh, but your soul's still hungry, because your soul knows that wasn't substance. Your nafash, your spirit, your inner man ruach, your ruach does it knows that wasn't real food, it wasn't substance, so it's still hungry, but it's worn with the flesh. The flesh was like, oh no, this was feeding us. So the flesh is sort of like a bully against you, your own conscience, and your ruach, and it's the flesh is materialism. It's materialistic. The flesh is materialistic. It's material, and so it knows materialistic things. So it loves the materialistic vanities and fantasies, imaginations, the quick fix, the sugar rush. Let's go shopping and shopping spree. That'll make me feel better. Let me just buy some ice cream. Let me just whatever. Do something make me feel better in a physical, materialistic, pleasurable way. And and sometimes that can be like just the motivation of being greedy, and you know so to kind of fix those on a long term in a fleshy way, we go on these paths where we put our mind on goals, right? Worldly goals. I'm gonna just get a car. I'm just gonna save up, and you make that your focus, and it feels great. Feels like you're positive, motivating. It feels like that's productive. Like the enemy will give you those charges, but at the end of the day, it's still vanity. It's still just part of the flesh. Because then what happens when you get that car? It was just you long delayed your sugar rush, because I've heard it all the time. People get their car, buy their thing, get their boat, and they have the new Gucci purse and the new shoes and whatnot. And then the next day, it's like it's over. It's like they're over it. The excitement's gone. They don't even care about it no more. Now then there's always something to show the new thing, or maybe if we drive it and have a memory with it, going on a vacation, like let's check out this spot and do this. That'll make it better. That'll make the car more worthwhile. And so they're always chasing this high, this experience that think they'll give them this fulfillment that the world cannot give, that materialistic things can't give you, that the flesh will never be satisfied with. The flesh is death. It's always wanting its fix. It always wants to feel something. But we're against our flesh. We're at odds. Because once Adam and Eve bit from the knowledge of right and wrong, they submitted the flesh to the enemy. So the enemy works through the fleshly inclinations. So the new Adam, Yahusha, rose and he said it's about the Ruach and in truth. We reverence Yahuwah and Ruach and in truth. So it's about doing the truth, regardless of what the flesh thinks about it, even if it hurts to our own hurt. That circumcises us, cuts off what we don't need, and prunes us so we bear more fruit. And then we get stronger and stronger and stronger until we snowball and overcome that. Where it gets easier now to lift those weights. And nonetheless, all this to say that I had this thought earlier again that you know we're giving the enemy a little bit too much credit, and we're not focusing ourselves enough on what this is all about. It's really that simple. Always keep your mind focused on this is just a war of the mind. It's a mind game, battlefield of the mind, like Joyce Meyer used to say. Only this is the real battlefield of the mind, because she was in a sense working for the enemy, because she was making that about to be living your best life now, being successful and all that. And I don't blame her, because back then we didn't know this. We didn't know, like, we didn't really think on. We had a deep down maybe a small subconscious thought and idea, like, wait a minute, isn't this kind of like Rondo, like trying to like overcome ourselves so that we can be successful in a materialistic way and all that, and show that that's the esteem of Yah. Like something didn't quite add up, but this was like the 80s and 90s, so we hadn't really experienced that on the earth on a wide scale, and now Christianity has. And those believers that did obtain that success through overcoming their selves, but in the name of prosperity and all that, they're worldly, they're miserable, they're greedy, they're kind of they're kind of back holes, if you know what I mean. They're kind of greed. They're kind of selfish, and a lot of them, or they help those that they pick and choose. I don't know. I can't explain. I'm running into so many, and they all got something that they're very wound up, tight in a wrong way. It's like, dude, you're like you don't see it, but you're acting like a Pharisee or something. But how can you explain it? Like if my thought process was, if they're acting that much out of the character of Yah and into the characters of the Pharisees and the like the scripture describes, like a lot of the wicked, um, and they don't see it, then nothing I can say is gonna help them see it. But I would still try to plant the seed and let them see it, because I'm like, it should be that obvious. So, anyways, um, nonetheless, yeah, we got to fight the fight. It's about the between us and the enemy and every thought inclination. If it's something that's trying to pull us to feed into our own desires, our own flesh inclination, make ourselves feel, you know, gratified and joyful and pleased, through worldly experiences and whatnot, then it's usually uh, it can be a counterfeit. It can be from the enemy just trying to pull you, put that mirage on you, be a siren and snare you up and project a hologram mirage to swallow your soul, start putting you in that vicious cycle where your flesh is clung to it, but your nefesh isn't satisfied. The only thing that will satisfy your nefesh, your ruach, your inner being, the spirit, but the spirit's more like when you're dead. It's like the context of it, but the ruach, your inner living, breathing being, and the nefesh is the word. That's the only thing that's gonna satisfy you. This, meditating on truth. Hearing truth is like seeing light in a dark place. It lights it up and it's warm. You can live off of that. Meditating on that becomes something else in you. It should take your thoughts and go somewhere else from where I given it, but it should always be in line with the word. And it's a chess game, doesn't mean it's automatically in the clear. The enemy's going to try to put in a hook and try to twist it back to his way. So it's trial and error. So it needs to be done all the way or all the time. It needs to be done all the time, constantly, until we start tweaking it more and more and more. Like, okay, that went the wrong way last time. I'm going to go this way now and then it gets easier each time because the first time it's like, man, that was painful. That was, you see like somebody wants to be a songwriter or an athlete or whatever, and like the first day they tried out, because of the pain or whatever the experience, if that overwhelmed them more than their passion, then they're just gonna give up and quit. They're like, you know what, I don't think I want to do this. This isn't for me. But this is the one. It is for you because Yahuwah said it's for you. So paradigm, he said this word is, he died for all men, so that Yahuwah so loved the world that he gave his most beloved bond, Yahusha, that whosoever believe, trust, and obey him shall not perish. The Hebrew word would be Shema, the equivalent, which means to hear, believe, trust, and obey. To hear and listen and obey. Hear, believe, trust, listen, obey, all of that. To do. It's like to hear and do. It's not just hearing and having a feeling. You're making a firm decision in your life. You do something, you express that firm decision by walking in a way that's in agreement with that decision, and that's to obey his commandments. If you love me, keep my commandments. John 14:15. What commandments? John 16 says, 15, 16, the chapter 15, 16, 15 says, obey my commandments as I have loved my Father and kept his commandments. So he right there, boom, he says it straight out. What commandments did Yahushua keep that the Father gave him? The commandments, the law. So he says, if you love me, keep my commandments, even as I have loved my Father and kept his commandments. So that's how we show love towards him, is keep the same commandments that he did that showed he loved the Father. So we show that we love him when we keep those same commandments. And they're not too hard to do because you do it from motivation of love. And you just get back up and keep trying. Trust me, the world is a lot harder in a sense because this is hard, but life high is hard regardless. Why not choose the thing that's going to merit eternity and the overcoming? Then it gets easier with time, and it just stays that way. It doesn't like ever flip on you. Like you just gets easier. It gets more eternal. It gets more solid. It becomes uh, more. So many words I can use. It becomes it becomes more. It's more worth it. It's more worthy. It's more beneficial. It's more substantial. It's more all those things. Um, yeah. And so that being said, you know that's the game we got to play. It's about outwitting the enemy. That's all this is about. We're all in this together in Yahuwah, Yahusha, and the Ruach Hakodesh, and we're trying to not let the enemy outsmart us into this and into that. Guard all your thoughts, all your emotions, and make sure they line up with the word. And overall, trust. It's about trusting each other, trusting God, trusting that we're all in this. Like we're all. we're all holding ourselves accountable in the same way to the utmost, so that we can all trust each other, so that the enemy can't divide us. That knowing we're mindful of the little things too, the little shenanigans, the little shortcomings that can slip out of us, and that we're not going to be so easy susceptible to just give into it, to act like we don't see it, because then we're BSing ourselves and we're BSing the congregation. Because we all know, we all have those small still voices, those little moments where we see things, but the world has been programmed. The elephant in the room is to be like, oh well, we don't all always see that or this, and we didn't know. Or not. A lot of times we do. We just whatever, screw it, I don't care, whatever, and we don't care, because it's whatever. It's not my problem, and it won't. It's not nothing that's gonna really harm me or kill me. It's not like, so we're like cutting things short that make a big deal, that hurt others and make a burden. Like, because we need the fullness of your love. We need to cut the BS. We need to stop BSing ourselves, because that BS is everybody else. We need to all hold each other accountable to and honor in the highest and to the highest form, and it's gonna feel great. You'll get a sense of accomplishment in that, because if you can do that in the little things, it'll it'll snowball into the bigger things in the ruach, the cosmic realm things. For example, like washing dishes. You may like, you know, not care about washing the dishes, because at the end of the day, you're gonna pull some clean ones out or whatever, wash your own, but not care about the other ones. Like, it's about like how you see things. It's all a picture of how you view reality and other people around you. Like, do you care enough to wash? Do you love people to the point where you want to wash all the dishes, so that everybody has dishes, so no one has to feel like they got to wash their own dish? Or you're mindful that you don't want nobody to feel like they got to look at dirty dishes, so you want to be that guy to go the extra mile and wash all the dishes, so that everybody can feel comfortable, like, wow. But then, maybe sometimes you might feel like you're in a position that you can pay some back. You can pay it back in a way, because maybe there's a day where you see a pile of dishes there, and for whatever reason didn't get done. Well, you step up to the plate and wash all the dishes, or you're just gonna wash what you want to use. Or even worse, at the lowest, is like, you use some dishes, right? Let's say dishes are all clean. You grab some dishes, you use them. Not only do you, I was gonna say not wash them, but let's just say you even wash your own dishes at least. But let's say they're gonna get washed, they're gonna get put up. It's gonna get like, so. What I'm getting at is, you might do it in a half-butt way, because you really don't want to do it, but you don't want to. You're trying to do it for accolades, for appeal, like, so you don't look bad, or whatever. You just want to check it off and get it over with. So you might just real quick rinse it with water, and do a little touch of the sponge, boom, 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 here and there, and just water and toss it. You know, I trust you don't wipe your butt that way, because if you wipe your butt like that, you probably got all kinds of crap in your butt cheeks still. But when you wash dishes, you want to make sure, like, you're doing it like you're wiping your butthole. You want to make sure you get it, in there a little bit. Just get everything. Make sure there's nothing that's still smeared on there, that's gonna get, the sweat's gonna smear in the cheeks and the crack and whatnot. You just don't want none of that there as much as possible. That's how you should wash dishes. That's how you should do everything. When you do everything, do it to the best of your ability. Do all things as you're doing it to Yahuwah, first and foremost. But also do because you love your neighbor as yourself. You want them to feel like, how would you feel if you grabbed a clean dish out of the cupboard, the cupboard, a plate, or a cup or something, and it's still got like coffee stain on dripping down, or in the inside the cup, or like it's got brown stain, it's got a food stain, got some green vegetable stain or mustard like on the plate, or a green vegetable stain on the plate. It's got some crust on there, like what the heck, and it got put up that way. So someone didn't really care enough to wash the dishes, right? And someone didn't care enough to even after them go back and look at it and scrub it off. Like, so that's just like a weak team. It's like the projection we have is like, don't care about anybody else but yourself. You know what I mean? And that's not cool. So you wanna make sure that you you're doing that for not for you, for everybody, because you want to you because it makes it go round. If you burden someone else, that's gonna stress out and they're gonna get weaker. We already have pressure. We all have pressure, our own pressure, but put the interests of others before yourselves. That's what scripture says. So if you look after others, that will take care of you. You know what I'm saying? It just work. You gotta trust yeah that's just gonna happen that way. It's a miraculous flow, like we talk about. We give oxygen or carbon dioxide to the trees just by breathing. you know we don't even have to do nothing. So like right there, everybody gets a free A plus, and you contributed to society just by breathing. At least you did that much. It's like when they tell you at the beginning of a test, you at least got to put your name on the test to get like a 50, like 50% grade. Gives you you put your name on the top, you already had a 50, kind of thing or something. So it's like that. You just got to be alive and live and breathe. You at least get points for breathing, and that gives carbon dioxide to the trees. So we can't write you off as a complete backhole. You know what I'm saying? Because Yahuwah's giving you some free credit, extra points, so you look like you did something. That's how much He loves us. He gives us freebies, so we contributed to society just by breathing. And what do the trees do for us? They give us oxygen. So right there's that relationship. Round and round we go. We give the trees carbon dioxide. They give us oxygen just by breathing, by being. But that's the least. That's the bare minimum. But the least we should do is some kind of effort to show love, or do love. Because show love, is expression like we're being kind, courteous. That's one thing. But even doing love is like doing those things that go unseen, but it may people feel it. They notice it. That would be like when you wipe things down, like wipe the table off, for someone else to eat on, that they can use it and feel like, oh, so and so cleaned it up, nice, or so and so did the dishes, nice, or so and so whatever. They put something in. They give you stuff. Someone leaves stuff for you or whatever. Praise yeah. And round we go. That gives you high. That gives them high. Feeds both. Because we were meant to feed each other. If, like I said before, if you muzzle yourself, if we're meant to give, you know, carbon dioxide to the trees, but we say, nah, today I'm not gonna give it, you'd have to hold your breath to not give carbon dioxide to the trees, and you would implode and kill yourself. You're like muzzling yourself with a pillow. What happens when you breathe in your own carbon dioxide? Carbon dioxide is toxic to us. It's harmful. It kills us. The very thing we breathe out is poison to us because it was meant to go out and for others, not for ourselves. So that's how love works. When you got some love, it's not meant to just love yourself. It's gonna grow stale and break. It's meant to share, and then it's giving quality, and then you by giving it edifies you. You get rewarded from Yah. He's like, hey, here's some sense of accomplishment vibes and love vibes, and you're an honorable person vibes. Like I'm gonna make you feel nice about yourself for doing some loving things, and you're gonna do the right thing. I'm gonna give you more strength. You feel more confident. You feel more right. you know. But you withhold, you hide things, you steal things, and you're gonna start feeling more like crap. You're gonna start digging yourself in a darker pit, in a deeper hole, in an isolated place. The guilt, the shame, and the only way out of that is repentance. You got to go, yeah, forgive me, give me a new day, let me start fresh. Throw some water on your heads, wash yourself, cleanse, wash me from all my sins. That's the only reason why we wash ourselves, because that didn't have to exist, but it seems like a common theme because it's just our reality. But imagine if in another alternate universe reality, you know, you never stink, like getting stinky isn't a thing, and having to wash ourselves is not a thing. Water don't exist. I don't know, but it only exists to show us like we have this constant need to refresh ourselves because you know we're always constantly spewing out things out in our thoughts or in our emotions or in our words or in our actions that stink a little, and over a while they start to fester and stink real bad, and we got to wash it. We got to go to Yah, forgive me, cleanse me. And water, the element of it is clear, like transparent, like see-through, because it's a manifested reflection of his presence. His presence is unseen, you know, it's like the air, you can't see, it's invisible. But just to show you that it's invisible, but it's there, I'm gonna give you water. Water's like the counterpart of his breath. It's transparent, but you can actually see this because it's gonna have these waves and these bubbles, this substance, this way of maneuvering. When you touch it, it kind of flows everywhere and it just moves and permeates everything. It fills whatever it goes into. That's its presence. It's everywhere. It's like the ocean, and everything's occupied by it. The creatures in that realm, it's their atmosphere, it's their air. So that's how Yahuwah is for ours. We're in the ocean of His presence, of His love, of His breath always. And so, but we still have to like show we're wanting to cleanse ourselves, wash ourselves through the manifested model He gave us, and run some water on you and forgive me, cleanse me, wash my sins away. And you feel that way. We need those physical elements to help, make um, that element, that dynamic true for us. We need that that object lesson. It's an object. We need that object dynamic object lesson. We need to feel things, see things, touch things to make it feel more real. Like the placebo effect, right? They say, oh, placebo effect. We feel sick, and they've experimented in laboratory, like they have done scientific studies. You can look it up. They literally just give them a blue piece of sugar, just blue candy. There's nothing in it, and they tell them, "Oh yeah, this is gonna help your headache. This is gonna help your stomach ache, or this is gonna heal that whatever you got going on." And they'll give it and do treatments with it. And because the people had confidence in it, they healed it with their own mind. What it's called like psychosomatic, where you can make your mind sick. You can, like, if it's a traumatic thing where you had a bad experience when you ate rotten eggs when you were a kid, it went bad, and so every time you see eggs now, you get sick in your stomach. You feel the headache that you felt then because your mind created a mechanism, a psychosomatic reaction where it triggers that to keep you awake, to try and keep you safe. Same way placebo effects do that. You feel sick, and then it's like you're used to that medicine. You trust in it. Your amonah, your mind has this neural cycle connection to your spirit, your ruach, that substance from a doctor, from a medical field, will make me better. And so all they gotta do is give you a blue pill. It can be sugar, candy, and you can look up placebo effect. Say this is gonna heal that, and you take it, and it heals. You're like, oh, thanks, it worked. But it's because you believe and trusted in it that it would do it. That you really just in a low key way told your mind to heal it. You focus like you were just using amunah, trust what Yahuwah tells us to use. But some things takes a higher form of amunah. Some things you really got to go to Him with. You can't just do it in your own strength. Like there's gonna at some point you gotta. He winks at that moment, but at some point you gotta acknowledge that He created us that way and that He gave us that power, and it's all from Him. You know that He's the source, and so nonetheless, He gave us water. He did the same thing. He used the placebo effect for us. Wash yourself, get immersed in my name, because you needed that bad to feel the washing away of your old man, your old sins, your old past. Some of us have a baggage of past and trauma and pain and emotion. We want to wash away. We want to get rid of. We don't know how to get rid of it. We don't know what can do it, but we know we don't want to feel like we still got it. So He knows giving us the element of washing will be that element to make it feel like the placebo effect, like we washed away our sins and our shame and our past, and we can trust that that was done. And then He shows us, because then all of a sudden that reality starts manifesting all this kind of kindness and compassion and favor, things that little tender kindnesses that we do enjoy of the world, that He knows, that He cares about. Let Him give it to you. Let Him bring those things in your path, but you don't go out searching and making a thing of it. He'll bring it to you at the right time. You just do what you gotta do and just praise Him, love Him with all your mind, being a strength, honor Him, keep His commandments, love your neighbor as yourself, always do right by people, help them out when you see opportunity, and He'll give you what you need and desire. He'll every now and then He'll reward you with things He knows you like, So we just gotta be like the animals, like the tree and the birds. They don't, they're not worried about all that. They're just chilling. They make their little nest. They do the thing, and then He takes care of them, gives them what they like. They get the worm, provides the worm for them, what they got to eat, their sustenance. So He does for us. Praise yeah. So all that to say, praise yeah. We coming up to higher levels. We understanding. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. The enemy most of the time is 90%. I'm just saying 100% of the time. Just get that from with it. That a lot of the vain thoughts, the vanities, fantasies, imaginations. Is your flesh being a little bored, wanted something fun? but trying to call on the spirits demonic in agreement with the demonic inclinations to empower, to give motivation to and project things for us to actually, you know, go into those mirages, be called and swayed and pulled in by the sirens to crash our souls, and put us in addiction and bind our soul up, our ruach, our inner nafash, our inner man, where now the flesh and the mind and the fleshly mind and the spirits, the demonic inclination have control and have us in a pattern and a cycle and always putting the stuff near around would keep us, looping us and keeping us bound down. But nah, you gotta just get in the word, hear the word and know that any don't even give it an inch. It'll take a mile. It'll take you completely. Just if it ain't from the word of Yah, the foundation, then don't give it no more energy, no more attention, no more. Don't give any more of your time. Don't even focus on those thoughts no more. Just keep your mind still. Know He is Yah. Just trust in Him. Just be mindful of Him. Be still minded. Still waters. Sound mind is a still mind that's just firmly trusted and rooted in Yah, and that's it. And sometimes you might take knowing what the word's all about. Sometimes you already get an idea of who He is. You don't need to really check it out. You feel confident and all that because it's not by works but by trust, and that trust, maybe you're trusting enough that all you gotta do is just be still with Him, and that's it. But know it's Him. And know when the enemy's trying to come and take his turn in the chess game, because he's gonna be given an opportunity to try to pull you down some way. So be mindful when it's always observing when it's yeah and when it's not. Simple as that. And that's the battle. That's us. Overcoming the enemy. Like I said, I felt this charge, bro, and I was like, whoa. And I felt it when I had that thought. Like, I'm unraveling it now, but it was just a simple thought of like, this is just a mind game. It's about him trying to outsmart us, but he's not smarter than us. We can outsmart him. We just gotta stop fooling ourselves. We're giving him too much credit, making it out that he's smarter than us, and we're being deceived, and we can't. Like, we don't. He just always pulling us into delusions, and everybody's being swayed, and we're all being worked against each other. And it's like, no, I'm not gonna believe that. We know what's right and wrong at this point, and let's stop the BS and stop giving into ours because it's creating a stumbling block for others. And then we trust that we're all on the same page with that. We outsmart the enemy. Other than that, we just gotta outsmart the enemy and know when he's trying to mess us up and not give into it. And we outsmart the enemy, and it's over. We won. And when I had that thought, man, I think I project my consciousness went to the future when that thing fulfills, because I felt, what you used to feel back in them Exianity days when you feel that tingling goosebumps and the euphoric vibe, like your head rush, like it just like you just got high on something, you snorted something, like you just did something, you did something, because we don't want that. That's the instant gratification in the fleshy way that'll kill you. But we want to feel it in the ruach, and that might be all the time. Might be like once every 5 to 10 years that you feel this. But I felt that like, whoa, like I was just like euphoric and tingly, and my everything was just goosebumps, and my hairs were standing up, and my head felt light, like I felt light, like I was like floating almost, and like I took a hit of a drug or something just from that thought, and I could feel the connection with all the other people who were feeling that same thought in that moment. Like I felt like it loosened like an atomic bomb, like we talked about. And I was like, okay, I gotta speak on this as a witness. As a witness, just to let other people know, hey, this is what I felt. Did you?